I'm Chris Haigh, this is the Fiddle channel. Today I'm going to play you a tune called June Apple. This is an old American tune that's used pretty well equally in both old time and bluegrass. I'm going to show you various approaches including both of those. We're going to look at shuffles, we're going to look at drones, blue notes and ways of improvising on this tune. So let's start off. I'll just point out that this is a modal tune and it's a Mixolydian tune, which means it's in the key of A, but it has a G natural. So the seventh note of the scale is flattened, and that is the Mixolydian scale or the Mixolydian mode. And a lot of old-time tunes are in this kind of mode. So let's go through the tune nice and slowly. So we're starting off on an E and straight into the G natural. Now I always say I'm going to go through this nice and slow, and then there's probably a lot of you that think that I then immediately race through it. So I'm sorry about that. If you are a subscriber, then you can send me an email and I will send you a copy of the dots, which will make it a lot easier for you to pick up this tune in the first place. I'm just going to play the tune again at a moderate tempo, just to show you the tune itself. Let me show you the drones that you can use in this. So most of the first half of the tune is on the E string. So the first bar you can use an open A drone underneath it. First two bars in fact. When it goes to the G, you can't use the open A drone there. You could put a bit of B underneath it to make the G chord. When you get to the second G chord, then you can do a G drone underneath. Then next bit of melody, you can have the E above the melody, and then the G below, E above, G below, and then the E above again. So second half. And incidentally, one of my favourite little phrases is this. My favourite, the reason I like that phrase so much is that it's a phrase that only really occurs in old time and bluegrass, and it doesn't mean anything, it doesn't do anything, it just fills a little space. And it should have a name. If I were a scientist, I would give it a scientific name. No one has ever even mentioned the existence of this thing before, but once I've drawn your attention to it, you're going to see those everywhere. So I'm going to play the tune once more, and this time with lots of drones. There are two main shuffles used in old-time music, and they are the Nashville Shuffle and the Georgia Shuffle. And when I'm teaching about shuffles, and I will incidentally one day do a video just about shuffles, I will always explain that these two shuffles are, I suggest that they're of equal importance, but in fact the Georgia Shuffle is the one I almost always use, and I almost never use the Nashville Shuffle. So the Georgia Shuffle is 3 notes slurred, alternating with 1 note accented. It's got a lot of smoothness, but it's also got a lot of drive. And notice the accent is always on the down. In the second half, it's not quite as applicable. You can do it as I just did then, but it kind of loses it loses the point of it a bit. It works well always when there's a long string of quavers without any crotchets. Once you get crotchets in there, it kind of messes it up a little bit. So the best approach for this kind of tune is to find the bits where it works and do the shuffles there. In the second half, I'll probably just do a bit of shuffle. Yeah, so there's only really a couple of places like that bar where it'll fit. Now, improvisation. If you're playing in strictly old-time style, you wouldn't really improvise at all. The only improvisation you would do would be alternating, would be adding different types of bowing pattern and emphasizing different parts of the phrase. I think it's quite nice to do a kind of a half improvisation if you're doing bluegrass. Namely, you don't do a proper solo where all of your phrases are different from the melody, but you just find a few places where you can add to the melody. And I'll give you a few examples of that. So that kind of improvisation is appropriate if you're maybe going to play the tune twice before you go into solos, because then it adds variety. It means you're not doing exactly the same. If you're playing in unison with another soloist, then obviously you either have to do all of the same variations or you don't do any at all. It may be that you are in a situation which is halfway between old time and bluegrass, in which case half a solo is better than no solo or a full solo. You notice that some of those improvisations I was doing were simply extending notes, making longer notes. So for example, when we get to the G in the first line, I'm just extending that G and then coming back to the melody. Second half. So there I'm just stretching out into 5 quavers. If you're doing a full solo, then one nice idea is to break into the minor modal feel. So basically in the melody all of the C's are C sharps, but it'll work perfectly well to make some C naturals, providing you're no longer playing the melody. So let me give you an example of that. And if any of you are fans of Vassar Clements, you'll recognise that that's very much his approach to playing minor soloing over major chords. And the minor mode, which would be, that's basically the minor pentatonic scale, you can turn that into the minor blues scale just by putting in the flattened fifth. So let me play you a little solo in first position using the minor blues scale. You can see that's an awful lot of fun. Now let's do the same thing but in third position. So now the scale we're going to be using. So the bottom note we're going to use is a C on the G string. Let's see what that sounds like with some chords. And notice how free and easy that sounds. The fact that we're just staying within a single finger pattern, a single position, a single scale, it doesn't sound like I'm tied down in any way. It sounds really free, but it just makes it really easy. But of course there's no reason you have to stay either in first position or third position. You can alternate. And there's also no reason why you have to stay either in minor or major. And one of the amazing things about bluegrass in particular is that you can alternate between a major feel and a minor feel. With the chords chugging away the whole time in major, A major, you can be playing either A major or A minor. I'm going to finish off by playing at full speed 3 times round, starting and ending with a melody and going who knows where in the middle. I hope you enjoyed this. If you subscribe, I can send you a copy of the docs, not of all the improvisations, but certainly the main tune I can send you. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope to see you again.